Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm going to wish Fidel Castro a happy 90th birthday by exposing the truth about him. And he is a heartless dictator, a totalitarian dictator that has lived like a prince while most of his people have starved. Okay, I highly encourage people to read the book Double Life of Fidel Castro by Juan Reynaldo Sanchez. He was Castro's personal bodyguard for a long time, and he knew Fidel Castro more, a lot better than, and a lot more than most people. Okay? And he talks about how he would be aboard the yacht. Him and Fidel Castro would be aboard the yacht, the Aquarama 2. And Fidel Castro would have a very expensive personal chair that nobody else could sit in. And the reason they would be aboard this yacht is they would go to a secluded vacation place that Fidel Castro had. And Fidel Castro lied, saying he basically lives in a fisherman's hut to be an example to his people. Well, that is a lie. Fidel Castro has some luxurious property in Punto Cerro, which is next to Embassy Row in Havana. And he also has the vacation home in Cayo Piedra, which is one of the most beautiful places in Cuba. Okay? And he would go down there to do scuba diving, spearfishing, and relaxing, living like a prince while his people starved. And he remembers, Juan Reynaldo Sanchez remembers accompanying Fidel to this vacation spot between 60 to 100 times, at least. And Fidel Castro would host guests over there in that vacation home sometimes. But Fidel is... Okay, talk about Fidel. Okay, now he always was in fear of assassination attempts. He would always carry a Kalashnikov, Soviet 7.62 millimeter Kalashnikov with him with about 5 cartridges because he would always fear of an assassination attempt. And to be fair, the American CIA attempted to assassinate him quite a few times. But Fidel Castro was involved in the drug trade. That Cuba was a big transshipment point for Colombian cartels trying to bring drugs to the United States, and many times succeeding. And Fidel allowed the Colombian cartels to operate freely to use Cuba as a transshipment point. Also, Cuba was involved in selling and bringing drugs to the United States as well in an attempt to poison the U.S. And Fidel blamed it on his military. And Fidel did not accept any of the blame, and Juan Reynaldo Sanchez knows that Fidel was behind the drug trade. That's when Juan Reynaldo Sanchez fell out of grace with Fidel and lost his job as Fidel's personal bodyguard. The general that got sentenced to prison for this was heroic. Well, they would call him heroic. He was a brave general. But I believe he fought for unjust causes. Arnaldo Ochoa. He got sentenced to prison on the drug trade, along with 3 other Cuban generals. And Fidel was behind all this, and he put the blame on those 4 soldiers. That's Fidel for you. The current Cuban leader is brother Raul Castro, which I believe he's the leader in name only, and Fidel's still running the show. Right now, it is illegal in Cuba to even bring up the discussion of race. The government will come knock on your front door if you bring up the discussion of race. Just like the U.S. is 12% black, Cuba is 11% black. The Spaniards brought in slaves to work the sugar canes, just like the Americans and the Westerners brought in slaves to work the cotton fields. So Cuba has a minority, but reasonably large black population, as the U.S. does. And it's illegal in Cuba to even bring up saying we need to talk about race. The tourist industry is Cuba's cash cow. And almost everybody in the tourist industry is light-skinned. Would be what you would call white Cubans. But Fidel, mythically, is considered a champion of black people, black Cubans and African Americans. That's just not true. There are almost no black Cubans working in the tourist industry, and Cuba's 11% black. Doesn't compute. Also, there's only 1 black general in the whole Cuban army. Just does not compute. That's Fidel for you. And there has been more oppression than under Batista. The dictator he overthrew, Fulgencio Batista, yeah, he oppressed a lot of people, but Fidel has oppressed way more. And anyways, hope everybody's doing well. Take care. God bless, and bye-bye. Bye-bye.